We're joined now by Mark Messier, six-time Stanley Cup champion, Hockey Hall of Famer. Mark, I was at, I think, Game 3 of the Stanley Cup final last year. I was like 3 seats away from you. Nobody was near you. It felt like you were just focused the entire time. How seriously are you in your bag during a game?
Well, I think it's important to, well, first of all, I'm very invested in the game. I think having been there and played in those types of situations there, first of all, I'm watching it very intently as a fan, then as an analyst, and trying to really kind of get the tempo of the game, the tenor of the game, the emotion of the game, and then of course the patterns of the game from an analytical standpoint. But you know, I even if I wasn't working in this industry, I'd still be watching hockey the same way. So be able to watch hockey and then have the job with ESPN and Prime now, it's amazing.
Yeah, I have to focus because I have a hard time even following the puck. But you're wearing that Game 7 hat, so I should tell people.
It's the greatest hat in the history of hats.
It's an amazing hat.
Right, yeah.
The 2 best words
We're
in
going to send you
sports.
guys a couple.
Oh, please. Thank you.
Please do.
You're the
Sign
executive.
one if you don't mind. I mean,
I will.
Thank you.
Stugotz, always trying to get something.
Messiah. I mean,
Executive producer on Amazon Prime's new documentary about the 2 greatest words in sports, Game 7. Tell me, obviously, you're famous for your Game 7 prediction and victory. How cool was it getting to focus just on this element of sports?
Well, it was incredible. Actually, it's been quite a journey. It's been 4 years to get to this point. We were able to lock up all the trademarks to Game 7, my partner and I, Isaac Chira, and we realized we had something very powerful. I think the whole genesis behind the Game 7 docuseries and what's going to roll out after as a brand is that everybody in life can have a Game 7 moment. You don't necessarily have to be a sport person or to love sports. It can come from all the arts and music industry. So I think for us, being able to tell the story through the lens of sports, of how these great players were able to perform when the pressure was the most intense, what are those life lessons that we can all learn from it? So there's humanitarian side to the docuseries, but there's also incredible amount of emotion from both sides, from the winners and the losers, which we always have to recognize.
Mark, how'd you get involved in this, and how'd you get involved with Danny DeVito?
Well, Danny DeVito is a good friends with Isaac Chira, and they've done some endeavors themselves in the past. Great friends. Isaac was talking to Danny about what we're trying to do with Game 7 and create this community through a docuseries. And Danny goes, I've had my own Game 7 moment. And Isaac goes, really? What was that? He goes, well, I was cutting hair over in New Jersey, and I got an opportunity to go read for a new sitcom that was coming out. So he realized that this was going to be a make or break moment for him, and he had to perform under pressure. So he went in there to do the audition, and he grabbed the script and tore it in half, and he threw it at everybody in there. He goes, "Who wrote this garbage?" And sure enough, but go, "Hey, you're Louis De Palma," and he got the role of Taxi, and he said that's his Game 7 moment.
That's hilarious.
Classic DeVito. Mark, can you articulate for us what it's like the feeling you have before a Game 7 as opposed to any other game you've ever played it?
Well, that's a great question. I think that everything is obviously magnified, electrified. You've come a long way from, if you think about start of training camp, 82 games, 2 months of playoff hockey against 4 different opponents. And here you find yourself with 1 game left to play to win a championship. Obviously, there's more at stake. There's a lot of things that come into your mind. What happens if you don't win? What happens if you lose? What's that going to feel like? But ultimately, going through the process of what you do on a day-to-day basis, you get back into your routine. And I've always felt that it was important to think about the things not going well. But as you get closer to game time, you start to replace that with all the things and all the positive reinforcement, good self-talk, and picture yourself actually winning the Stanley Cup. And then by the time the puck drops, you really get back into executing your game plan, not only as an individual, but as a team. And that kind of replaces all the noise that you have to kind of be able to shut out to perform under pressure when it's in those kinds of moments.
What would you do? Did you ever have a teammate where you knew he wasn't built for a Game 7? How did that work? You just knew certain guys weren't built for that moment.
Well, I think you try to pressure test everybody throughout the year, and you put players in situations to see how they do react, and ultimately trust becomes the most important word for any team that's on a journey to win some kind of championship. Trust is you have to be able to trust everybody that's going on the ice at every particular time. From that, they're going to execute their job on the ice and their positioning. That they're not going to be retaliatory and take undisciplined penalties, and that they can handle the pressure. And I actually have played with players in the past that you had to be able to put them in situations to be successful. And fortunate enough for me that I was with a lot of guys that could handle the pressure. But obviously not everybody's built for it.
Again, he's the executive producer on Amazon Prime's new documentary about Game 7. It's called Game 7.
So great.
So, Mark, wanted to ask you about last year's Cup final, that Game 7 between the Panthers and Oilers. Where does it rank for you?
Well, it was incredible, actually, to watch it from my perspective. Having played and been an Oiler early on in my career, being from Edmonton, knowing the challenges that the franchise had and only to find themselves back in the Stanley Cup Finals, and then to get themselves down 3-0 in this series, it was incredible. I guess disappointing for everybody to find themselves in that situation, but then for them to claw their way all the way back to force a Game 7 was. I've been to a lot of sporting events in my life, both as a spectator and as a player. Game 6 in Edmonton probably was one of the most incredible, emotional, vibrant arenas I've ever been into.
Game 7 was pretty good too, I thought.
Game 7 was amazing. Back and going all the way back to Florida, obviously, the disappointing that the Oilers weren't able to win.
Of course,
unbelievable journey for the Panthers to come all the way back after losing in the finals the year before, only to win it this year. What a moment for the Panthers! What a incredible moment for the team and all the players.
Going into this season, the Oilers finally got their first win of the season with their overtime victory. Connor McDavid, who has 4 assists, hasn't scored a goal yet. Are we worried that the Oilers are going down a similar path as last season, or is it now time for them to get hot?
Well, I think there is some worry that you don't want to get so far behind the 8 ball. It takes so much energy to claw your way out of it like they had to last year. So I think there is that kind of freshness still in their minds about how they started last year. When you go, I don't think there's anything in sport more disappointing than to go all the way to Game 7, a championship game, and then lose. So I think there is a little bit of a hangover for that for the players. And although they're not going to say it is, just emotionally, I think it took a lot out of the players. And now they find themselves staring at 6 months of regular season hockey only to be able to get back to the playoffs and exactly where they want to try to right or wrong in their minds anyways. So I'm not worried. I think they did make some changes. They got some new players in that it takes a while to kind of get the similarities and the synergies with theirs, but ultimately they're a good enough team to be in the playoffs, and whether they can get back to the Stanley Cup Finals there, we'll wait and see.
Mark, last summer we had you on to discuss Greg Cody calling Connor McDavid Mick overrated. Roy just pointed out the slow start here. Are you maybe changing your opinion coming around to Greg Cody's side, or what do you think?
I think Greg might have to rethink his position.
That was some of the most nervous fake laughter I've ever heard on any sort of radio show.
By both of us.
Yeah. I'll just end it on this. The other side of it, the Florida Panthers here. We in Florida are looking for a repeat here. What do you think the chances are of the Panthers actually repeating?
Well, it's incredible to see the Panthers, lose in the finals the year before, come back and win it last year. They had because of the salary cap, they lost some instrumental players in the championship team. But I watched them play the other day there, and it looked like they've made some incredible replacements, and their core guys are still there. The challenge is going to be that that'll be 3 years in a row to get to the Stanley Cup Finals. Injuries, rest, fatigue, both physically and emotionally, are going to come into play this year, and they got to be able to get through this regular season hopefully rested and injury-free. If they can do that, if they can get to the playoffs just in a good playoff position, they don't have to win the division, they don't have to win the conference and all that, but if they can get to the playoffs relatively healthy, and get some rest while doing it, they're going to give themselves a really good chance of getting back there. They got a great young nucleus. Of course, the goaltender Bobrovsky has proven that he can carry the load. So I wouldn't count the Florida Panthers out just yet.
Mark, last question. That Game 7 with the Rangers, calling your shot, it was so legendary, such a legendary moment in sports, such a legendary moment for your career. I am wondering, would you take that Stanley Cup because you won so many with Edmonton? But if I told you, hey, the Edmonton Cup's got to go away, but you still get that Game 7 for the Rangers, would you take it?
Well, the good news is I don't have to make that decision.
But if you had to, Mark, I mean, help us out here. I mean, so what I'm telling you is you could have all the cups from Edmonton or the one cup from the Rangers. What would you take, Mark?
It's a hypothetical question that it would be impossible for me to answer because I would be undermining the incredible experience I had on the 5 cups in Edmonton. It's like asking somebody who's their favorite child. I don't have an answer.
It's Emma. I mean,
everybody's got a favorite child,
but they just don't want to admit it. That's what Mark is saying.
You might have it, but you're not going to admit it.
Right.
Mark Messier, thank you again. He's part of Amazon Prime's new hockey studio team in Canada, and again, the docuseries Game 7, an anthology, 5-part anthology series debuting October 22nd about Game 7. Mark Messier, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark.
Oh, God. We failed so far to celebrate a retirement that happened yesterday, Jess. You brought it up, I think, but it is such a celebration that Tony Bennett, the former NCAA champion at the University of Virginia, what was that, 2019? They won a championship?
Yes.
They also lost some famous games as high seeds there. Tony Bennett retired as the head coach. And the reason I say celebration is not so much, hey, congratulations, you've had a great career. You're the second most famous Tony Bennett for the rest of your life. But thank goodness that style of basketball is, at the very least, hopefully gone. Like, his successor hopefully doesn't teach the exact same style of basketball where it's like 15-13 at halftime and you're just wondering, what the hell did I just watch?
The obvious joke that everyone was making about the strange timing was that he ran out the shot clock on the off season to announce it at the last minute. But yeah, once the reporting came out that his health is fine, this was just a personal decision or whatever, you can kind of be like, all right, well, it makes sense. He's been a head coach for a really long time, stressful job, but congrats to him. I actually saw a really crazy stat about what you just mentioned, which was the national championship run that they went on, and this is from Aaron Torres. It says, in Tony Bennett's last 7 seasons, he won 6 NCAA tournament games. All came in the 2019 title run. He lost his tourney opener in 18, 21, 23, and 24. Damn. That's one of those stats that you, we lived through that, and if you told me that, which I just told myself that,
so
crazy.
2019 was the big revenge tournament, right? Because they had lost, didn't they lose
Yes.
as a 1 seed the previous years, the first time as a 16 seed, beat a 1 seed, and then they go back and win the national championship, but that's all he did otherwise? Is that enough? Is the one run enough to cover all that? Because that's a lot of first-round exits.
They won a number of other. I'm trying to Google it as you ask me that because I didn't have that pulled up. So,
yeah, but once you win a championship, I feel like all sins are forgiven, right?
I don't know about that. Especially in that where it's just you got to be. I guess his style made him consistently good, so you knew it was a winning style of basketball. But if it's not made for one and done type of situations because it's such low scores that anybody can beat you, is it great for that sport? I don't know.
Here is what I was looking for: multiple conference tournament champions, and then regular season champions half dozen times while he was there. So yes, I think that's the tournament is hard. It's hard to win in the tournament. He won a national championship. You can't take it away from him. But also, the team did really well in the regular season, which is why they would always have a high seed. And it was so shocking when they did lose in 18.
Remind me, because I don't know off the top of my head, did Virginia ever win an NCAA championship in men's basketball before Tony Bennett?
I want to say yes. But that's just because
that was their first one ever. They made multiple Final Fours before, but they've never won. They had never won a national championship.
Starving franchise team.
2019, yeah.
Well, now he can go do songs with Lady Gaga now because the other Tony Bennett is no longer with us.
Vegas residency.
That'd be great. Anybody watching Only Murders in the Building?
Of course.
Really? Of course, it's that.
Me
Really?
and Billy-
Tony's favorite show.
It's one of my favorite shows.
Had
Me and my
no
wife watch-
idea.
Me and my wife watch every week.
We started
I've
a
been-
book club.
Okay. I've been sort of that last season where Meryl Streep was in it. I was
Spoiler
just like,
alert.
this is wild. They got Meryl Streep, and this season it's just like, oh well, Meryl's in it. Now I'll definitely do it. And they've got crazy guest stars: Eva Longoria, Eugene Levy, and Zach Galifianakis. I'm only like 2 or 3 episodes in. Last season I was like, on the first half, and then it was a banger after that. This season I'm super excited because I love Galifianakis.
This season's been fun. They have a couple
Big
different
Cat already
ways-
watched it.
Oh, damn. All right, never mind. I can't say anything.
Has he talked about it?
Probably.
Does Big Cat have a club? Or
Maybe.
did we
No,
did we
probably.
plant
Only
our
Murders,
flag?
Tears.
No, the club is all the people in my mentions.
Let's
No.
open up the club.
Real. Oh, okay, fine.
That's right, the club. It's brought to you by Cuervo, the Cuervo Club. Now's a good time to enjoy the tequila that invented tequila with Cuervo.
If that sound Tony made right before we opened up the club doesn't just sort of define his entire time here at the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz, I don't know what does. What's the first sound in the club, Chris?
Go pee-pee, go potty, go poop.
Nice.
That was Greg Cody speaking to Jumping Charlie.
Go pee-pee, go potty, go poop.
What
What is the potty of the 3, right? So it's like go pee pee, go potty, go poop. What's the potty part?
No, I think potty is probably just a bridge to get to poop. That's
Go
all
pee-pee,
that
go
is.
potty, go poop.
He just loves his alliteration. Any more poop in the club?
Stay tuned. We've got Pitch Clock up next.
That was our Southern Mina Kimes. She can never let go of that because Chris will always play the other sound of her saying, what was that? It would only be fair.
That
I
will
think
be
that would
fair.
be fair.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Who else is in the club?
Diana, I wasn't sure you were coming to me. I'm sorry.
Greg Cody spends a lot of time in the Cuervo Club. That was him. Were there like seconds of silence before that?
This is us during the Diana interview, staring at him for 7 seconds of silence, and then him saying,
Diana, wasn't sure you were coming to me. I'm sorry.
Roy's face must have been just of shock and awe. Like nobody worries more about silence than Roy Bellamy.
Finny, go poopy, good boy.
That's the funny part about both of those is while they're both ashamed of it, we both would have predicted that's exactly how they talk to their dogs.
I
when they
don't.
go to
I
the
don't
bathroom.
believe Stugotz talks his dog like
No,
that.
Finny,
go
he
poopy,
just-
good boy.
I think he just wanted to fit
It
in with
rolls
what Greg
off the
was saying.
tongue.
It's way too. It's
not him.
Exactly.
It's not him.
And it's too similar to what Greg just said he did.
Finny, go poopy, good boy.
No, there's no alliteration. You can't
It was
imagine.
very staccato.
You
Did
can't
someone put it in his ear? Because I don't think he just came up with that.
Maybe that's a trick. Because I could totally imagine him
He
on a
surprises
gummy,
me sometimes.
just out there and just talking to his dog, just like that.
all right, armpits.
Was that another sound in the club? Or
All
was
right,
that-
armpits.
That was a fresh one.
Who is
I met my
armpits?
I met my brother Mo. He's great. He could be president. Mo Biden.
I have no idea who armpits was.
It was to you.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Because you were making fun of me, like, taking a shower and being swelling, and then you're sitting here sweating your freaking
Do you
armpit.
want to see them again? Because they're still sweating. Look, it's crazy.
Okay, armpits.
Stop
How did
wearing
that come
gray.
to fruition here, Frank?
Stugotz calling Hank Azaria Frank.
How did that come to fruition here, Frank?
I thought we were making fun of their profession, and no, he just called some friend of the show a totally wrong name.
If you can slurp it, it's soup.
Hell yeah.
That is a fact, Jack. Is cereal
Happy
soup?
trails.
Where's
cereal-
Tom Brady? Where's Belichick? Blimey.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Ryan, and I want to tell you about two of my favorite things, football and Miller Lite. And when you combine the two, that makes for one heck of a Miller time. See, Miller Lite has great taste, but is also less filling. And football, well, it's just spectacular from start to finish. You put those two things together, you've already carved out a perfect day. Miller Lite keeps things simple with undebatable quality, great taste, and only 96 calories. It's a beer that strips away everything that you don't need and holds on to what matters most. A light beer that actually tastes like beer. Make your game time taste like Miller time. Tastes great and is less filling. Let it be both. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/Dan. Or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.
Who's ready for kickoff? Join the football action this preseason and regular season with DirecTV's Sunday Series on DraftKings. Build your best lineups in 6 free contests to compete for a share of $30,000. Then watch the games on Sunday your way. You can watch them live, watch them on streaming apps with DirecTV satellite free. Play free now at DraftKings.com/DirecTV. Terms and conditions and other eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.